Hello my friends, I'm Rich Larson and I'm the IRC Tire Guy. Today we've got a fun episode. We've got the 2024 Rieju MR Racing that I've been hyped on, and we've got my 2024 Husky TE300. Now, this is the KTM umbrella. As you know, this is the modern 2024 TBI machine, and this would be kind of considered the old tech, almost the pre-18, right? Pre-2018 KTM branded bike. Of course, there's some differences with what Rieju's done with the engine and all of that, but it's very similar to that of a 17-18 KTM before they went to TBI. Now, what I wanted to do today was compare the two bikes. We've got an awesome test for you. We've got an Enduro cross track. I'm gonna lay down lap times, find out which bike I'm faster on, more comfortable on. We're gonna talk about each of them, maybe lay down a heater, see which one I'm faster on. Then tomorrow, we're gonna go to hard Enduro. I've got about an hour loop, and we're gonna put an hour on each bike and find out which of these bikes I can do the loop faster on. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait for tomorrow. But today, we've got Enduro Cross. I haven't rode too much Enduro Cross, maybe a little bit. It's gonna take me a minute. I think I'm gonna go out, get some practice laps in. Then I'm gonna lay down 5 timed. I've got my Pitboard GPS timer, so I'm gonna time those 5. We'll also have helmet cam. Then I'll maybe lay down a heater, switch bikes, do the exact same thing, talk about what I'm feeling. I think this is gonna be awesome. You know, these two bikes are kind of at the opposite end of the spectrum as far as 300s go. And to me, it's something that people want to know. You know, they're like, hey, did you get rid of your Husky? Because they've seen me so much on the Rieju. I'm like, no, I still got it. In fact, I rode the Husky the other day and I was like, oh, this thing rules. So they're both really good bikes. I mean, really the point of this whole thing is probably going to be me saying, bikes are awesome nowadays, and that's just the way it is. All of them are awesome. They all have their pros and cons, and I'm excited to kind of show you guys, break it down, tell you which one I'm more comfortable on, and really go into the intricacies of the KTM umbrella versus the Spanish Rieju. I'm excited, and let's get right into it. Okay, guys, we're on to the Rieju first. Yeah, I just laid down like 10 to get warmed up, and I'm like, holy cow. Endurocross is so tough. It's like you got to constantly keep that freaking sword sharp. I rode maybe 2 months ago some Endurocross, and we're back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so tough. So it took me a little bit to get into a groove. I feel okay now. We're gonna lay down 5, see what this 5 is. Then I'll probably do a heater. Then we'll jump to the other bike. So 5 laps. We got our timer already started here. Here we go. Here's the start line right here. One down, 4 to go. All right. Not bad. Hey, Romy. My main man, Romer. Still kicking it. Good boy. That was good. That was fun. I'm tired. Pretty gnarly. Let's take a look here at our times. So lap 1 doesn't count because I was talking. Maybe you can see it. I'll put a picture up on the screen here, but 46, 48, 47, 49, 46. Yeah, 46 is pretty good. Felt a little bit pumped. Kind of rode tight in the beginning, I feel like. Just trying to like put in consistent, clean laps on both bikes and then one heater. So, hey guys. All right, so we just switched bikes. We're back on the Husky. Never put any time on this track, on this bike, right? I put a lot of time on the Rieju. So the Rieju does have a bit of an advantage going into this. And I'll tell you what, the practice laps that I just did, I did about 10 or 15. It was definitely different. It took me a minute to figure out, you know, just little changes. I actually rolled my bars back a little bit. Tried to just make it an easy transition to a different bike. Transitioning from bike to bike is always challenging. We got it, I think, kind of figured out. I've already noticed some huge things about the difference between the Rieju and the Husky. We're gonna talk about them, but first, I'm gonna lay down 5 laps just like I did on the Rieju. We're gonna see, what our lap times are, doing a nice clean 5 laps. We're not looking for heaters here. We're just looking for good, perfect laps. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a good one. That's it. Oh boy, that was good. Smooth, honestly. Felt pretty good. Okay, yeah, we got 5 laps. All right, we got 46.9, 50 flat. I remember making that mistake. 45.5, 47.8, 49.5. Yeah, super interesting. They're very close. They just kind of have like 2 different characteristics, and I almost know what's going to happen here. Definitely 2 different characteristics. Kind of funny. There's certain places where I like one better. There's certain places where I like another better. I can't wait to break it down for you guys. Let's do a hot lap and see what we can get on the Husky. So that was extremely eye-opening and a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Let's jump right into what the averages on each bike were. Again, it was eye-opening switching back and forth. The differences in feel is like, oh, I see. You know, and it's hard because I never really jump from bike to bike. It's usually I go out and ride, I load up a different bike, go out and ride, right? I'm not doing them back to back. And this was honestly exactly how I hoped it would go. So starting with the Rieju, we did 5 laps. Our average lap time after 5 laps was 47 seconds 56, right? So 47.56 was our average lap time on the Rieju. We did 5 on the Husky. The average lap time was 47.89. So almost the same lap times, a tiny bit slower on the Husky. I will say, I think I made less mistakes on the Husky. It was like a more consistent lap, whereas on the Rieju, I made a couple hiccups here and there. I probably could knock that time down a little more. Honestly, I could knock it down on either bike. Now, you guys saw the side-by-side of the hot laps. My timer actually kind of messed up a little bit, so I went back to the footage and kind of decided that, I'm gonna put them side by side. It's pretty eye-opening, and this goes right into what I'm gonna talk about within how these bikes felt. But the Rieju, fastest lap time was 43.7. That was my hot lap time, 43 seconds. I was cooking, felt really solid. On the Husky, the hot lap was 45.5. So about a second and a half faster on the Rieju. And yeah, you guys will understand exactly what I'm talking about, but that carb snap, I think, was the biggest piece of what made me comfortable here. I will say I have put more time down on the Rieju on this track than I have on the Husky. I think I could get the Husky down to that time. I think I could get comfortable on the Husky. This is less about what bike was faster and more about how I feel. So let's talk about the advantages that I found on the Rieju. Now, again, the snap of the engine is, it's so perfect for endurocross specifically. We want that pop, we want that snap, to be able to clear the log doubles, to be able to get that power down, and that precision. Endurocross is so much about precision, and I feel like carburetors just have that precision. It's that pop that I need to get up and over these things, and I feel so comfortable doing that with the power delivery of this bike. I will say, the ergos of the bike, I feel more comfortable with this frame. A big advantage to me is I feel like I'm a little bit lower, I'm a little more settled. The sag on both these bikes is exactly the same, 110, I just checked it. Both bikes are set at 110. I've got down and back pegs here, but that being said, I mean, just in the stock form, I feel more comfortable on the Rieju. I feel like the bike's a little bit lower, it's a little more settled, it's a little more planted. That being said, there are times where I almost feel like it wants to push just a little bit in some of the sharper flat turns where I'm really looking for that traction and that like quick whip around. I feel like I'm just on the edge at times to push. Really, the suspension works really, really well. I think in stock form, I haven't done really anything other than adjust my clickers, set my sag. On this KYB suspension, I'll say, the hard hits, it handles it perfectly, settles in the rocks, feels really tractable. I mean, I might want it to be a little faster just to get a little more spring off of stuff, but that would be an adjustment specific to endurocross. I feel really good on the general setup of this bike and just what it does. Now, let's talk about advantages and disadvantages of the Husky. To me, the Husky feels higher up. I've said this before, it could be the rigidity of the frame. Once again, both bikes are set at 110, but I just feel higher up. I also feel like my feet are closer to the front tire. It's just like, the wheelbase is shorter. It's higher and it's shorter. That can be good and bad. I do feel like on those quick turns where I'm like looking for that quick grab and to be able to just spin that bike around, I think that the Husky does it better than the Rieju. That being said, there were times where I felt like it would almost oversteer. Say like going through these tires here, I felt like it was almost like too quick and I would have to dab on the inside. So there's kind of a give and a take, what I feel. Now, that being said, I've done different things to the suspension here. I've kind of tried to make the suspension better. I think stock for stock, I would probably pick the KYB, but this has the Alpine XC red valves in it. And I gotta say, the pop off of the logs is significantly better on this bike than it was on the KYB. It just feels like I can almost make the bike do what I want in the air, off the face. I almost have more precision because of the suspension. It settles great, just as good as the KYB in the rocks, but on the hard hits, I can hit it twice as hard. That's really dialed. It's kind of neat to go back and forth. I think I'm gonna put some red valves in the KYB and do a back-to-back test again, just because it was kind of eye-opening. I was like, whoa, I could actually run these even softer and still get that hold up. So that's kind of exciting. I like that. The power specifically, It's a very progressive power. Now, I think that's gonna be a huge advantage in the hard enduro. I think this thing's gonna track really, really well. That being said, I felt like I had to turn the throttle way more to get over some of these doubles. And it was actually kind of scary when I was first getting used to it. I was like, man, I can't turn my wrist far enough. And if you guys know, I have a broken scaphoid. That's why I wear that wrist brace. I have a kind of a permanently broken scaphoid that's gonna be broken forever. So I have to re-grip to go to wide open throttle. And it's scary to re-grip before a double. It's easy to re-grip for like a splatter because you kind of have time to do it. But when you're charging, like Endurocross, everything is charging. I needed more throttle to get over this double and over that double. And I actually kind of felt like I was shorting it quite a few times because I needed to go wide open. The Rieju was like half throttle. The thing's so snappy, so poppy. Now that to me makes it funner to ride. And this goes back to that kind of carb situation. I think just out of the box, carbs are more fun. They have this like fun to ride, snappy characteristic. It to me almost gives you more precision. I feel like my suspension here gave me more precision, but the power gave me more precision here. I bet you in the hard enduro, it'll be like, I want this to be calm and this one's fine. Just because, you know, the TBI system is very progressive. It really just kind of chugs along. It's very docile on the bottom and you have to really open that thing up to get that power down. This was so much fun. This could not have gone better. I cannot wait for tomorrow in the hard enduro situations. I think it's gonna be another eye opener for me. Jumping from bike to bike is very challenging. It takes time to get used to them. And I'm up for the challenge. I think it's gonna be great tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the morning. All right, we are on to day 2. As you can see, it's a little snowy, a little more than I expected. Actually, yesterday I came out here to film this episode. My plan was to do my full loop, which is about an hour long. I got into the first canyon and was like, dude, I need spikes in my tires. I didn't want to do a test pushing the bike. So kind of changed my plan a little bit. I did ride the Rieju yesterday and did a little spotting. Found a nice good climb that's probably gonna take about 15 minutes, I would say. I'm not 100% sure on how long, but it'll take me about 15 minutes. Good hard enduro stuff. That's the way we go. Out here in Utah, we're always just kind of picking and choosing and figuring out where we can ride. I don't like putting spikes on my tires, so we're trying to keep it in the rideable stuff. I think it's gonna be a blast. I'm excited. I'm gonna gear up and we're gonna get after it. All right.
Training started.
Here we go. Nice and smooth. There, slick, kind of icy. High exposure here, and it's a bit muddy, so that makes it fun. Oops. Well, that might have been one of my worst runs. Come on. Let's just be tight, kind of nervous about the slickness. guys can tell, but I promise it's really steep. Steep. A lot of like crooked spots, like this one right below me, that can really bite you. Okay. That's to be noted. What happened? Oh no! Ah, dang it! We're right at the top. Dumb mistake. Shoot. Ah, that rock. There's always one little rock in there. Should take more time. Oh no. Come on, Rich. Let's make up for it. Frozen here. There we go. Not the best. Looks like 1330-ish. Woo, mama, I'm maxed out. Yeah, you're high. Yeah, 1330. Looks like the time now. Oh my gosh. Not great. It was pretty dismal talk. I feel like I made a lot of mistakes. Let's
I feel like I made a lot of mistakes on that one. And that wasn't the best, but I made it through the middle section okay. Made one dumb mistake there. I just hit a rock and it pushed my front off the trail. And I mean, this kind of a good place to talk about the technique that it takes there. You should be running your front end high on the side hills. If you're running your front end in the trail, you're going to be twice as likely to lose the rear, and that's exactly what happened. I just hit a little bit. The rear tire always tracks below the front tire, so I got on the edge of the trail and the rear tire let go. You got to compensate and ride like that along the side hills. That was fine. It's good enough. 13 flat. I would assume, you know, if I get everything clean, I can get it a little faster. I noticed some things thinking about, like, now that I'm timing and I'm trying to put a good lap in, thinking about what the characteristics of the Rieju has, and we'll see if the Husky has the same characteristics. I actually think it won't. So that should be interesting. Let's head down, grab the different bike. All right, so we're ready to go here. As I kind of mentioned, that run on the Rieju was not the best. But you know what? The times don't really matter, to be honest. I mean, we'll see. You know, maybe I make the same mistakes on this. It's kind of real almost, you know, because there's a little bit of pressure when you turn the camera on and you're trying to get things right. Yeah, you know, I think I just over pushed, and that reflects on my heart rate. That was way higher than I've ever been doing that. So, yeah, I was just pushing really hard, and I think I was just kind of riding a little tense, a little too much. We'll talk more about kind of the things I ran into. It actually opened my eyes to a lot on the Rieju. Now, riding this just on the way up here, it's crazy the differences between the TBI and the Carb. It's so different. There's places where I like the Carb. There's places where I like the TBI. There's places where I don't like the TBI. There's places where I don't like the Carb. So it's very interesting, the difference between these two bikes. They are honestly the polar opposites. That's why I'm doing this test. On the way up here, I tipped over like a dummy and freaking knocked my whatever that's called, bark buster off. But anyway, it's all good. We're gonna get going here. Nice and smooth. I'm gonna start my stuff and hopefully we can get a good run in. Timer.
Training started.
All right. Nice and smooth. Enjoy the ride. I just got through that so much cleaner than the Rieju. Little mistake there. No stop. we go. Fast. Oh boy, I know that was fast. Let's look at the time. Darn. Yep, about 10 minutes. 10 minutes 30 seconds. So let's talk about that real quick. Okay. This is why my heart rate was lower as well. This is why I don't want you guys to care too much about the times. Because I know for a fact I've done it that fast on the Rieju. 2 weeks ago, I did this whole loop. It was dry. I have a full loop out here that takes about an hour. Both bikes were just under an hour. We're talking 58, 56 minutes, somewhere around there. And they were really close in times. This one, that's how I should ride. That was pretty proper. I made one mistake. Now, I will say there are pieces that made that happen because of the way the Husky runs. So this thing is actually pretty sick. And listen, the Rieju's sick too. Just like we saw in Enduro Cross, I think if I was going bike for bike, I would pick the Rieju every single time, especially in like Enduro Cross or higher speed stuff. I just feel so much more comfortable on that. That being said, this is hard Enduro, and there's still a little bit to be had, I think, from Rieju in the hard Enduro specific stuff. Still a great bike. You know, I can't stress that enough. I really do like it. And that wasn't a good run. I could probably get on the bike again and do it again and get within this time. But, you know, it's more real. It's realistic. It's like, okay, I did 1 for 1. It's what I got. And that run wasn't the best. I was afraid that was going to happen, and it did. I wish I could have got 2 really good runs. And I promise if I would go again on the Rieju, I'm 100% I could run the same time. But there are little specifics I want to talk about. Let's head down. Let's set up. Let's talk about the differences between the Rieju and Husky. That was a lot of fun. Let's do it. All right, that was very eye-opening, very fun. I have to just break it down for you guys. First off, I do want to say, if I went back out there and put a good run in, I'm sure I could get that fast on the Rieju. So I know that you guys are gonna be like, oh, but I promise I would be able to do that. I just made a couple of mistakes. But I wanted to be real, you know? I could have just cut the video and gone and tried it again and probably end up pulling the same time, but I want it to be as real as you guys can, as real as I can make it for you guys. And yeah, I just made mistakes. I just made mistakes on the Rieju. I don't think it had a lot to do with the bike. I'll tell you right now, as I said, right when I finished the loop, I've done this entire loop in under an hour on both bikes, and the times are very, very close. That being said, it was
was the Husky's day today. Just like the Rieju beat the Husky in Enduro Cross. I know you guys are gonna kind of obsess on the times, and I've said it multiple times throughout this video. Don't obsess on the times. The times aren't necessarily the thing that we're worried about. We're talking about the way the bikes feel. Now, there are some very important insights in hard enduro specific between these two bikes, and I want to break it down. The biggest thing, first off, let's talk the Rieju, the pros of the Rieju. I find that I can snap up a ledge, like if I'm looking to put the power down, this thing just does it really good. It's kind of the same characteristic that we saw in Enduro Cross, where if I needed to get that power down for a double, it's there. It's very easy to find that power. And I love that. I love the way the Carb runs. Honestly, it's really clean the whole way through. I'm still finding on the TBI that there's times where I'll like get on it and it'll almost just hesitate a little bit. And you know, hopefully I can clean that up, because I'll tell you right now, this thing lugs incredibly. I will say that's probably the biggest advantage here. This bike just tracks really, really, really good. Even in some of the spots where it was kind of icy, I was like, I didn't even notice it. It just kind of lugged and stayed down in the bottom, and I was just able to kind of continue that momentum, keep that bike moving forward. It was easier to do on the Husky than it was the Rieju. Now, I will say with the Rieju, whenever I went to push, that was a huge piece. Every time I went to push the bike, I had a tough time keeping it running. And the way that I push a bike is I lug it down into the bottom of the power just enough so I feel the bike wanting to move, and then I kind of use muscle to chug it forward with traction. I had a tough time getting it down into the bottom. So it does have a tendency to stall just a little bit more. That being said, with the Husky, I feel like I can just get it down into the bottom of the power and it'll just kind of stay there without stalling. They don't stall, which is really, really neat. I wish it was just a little more responsive on the power delivery side, like where I'm looking for that snap, where I'm looking to put that power down. I feel like I don't have that as much on the Huskies. You can see the difference in heart rate. The clutch pull, I'll say right now, is a huge one. This clutch pull is so soft. KTM's got the best clutch on the market right now. And this is the traditional six spring, the Magura Master. It's quite stiff. You know, you just kind of get that tense. And I think maybe it was because of the first run, I ran myself a little bit harder. Again, I could probably go up right now and lay down just as good as a time. The times aren't the important thing, it's the way that I feel. And I will say I would put the Husky, the KTM Umbrella, above the Rieju in hard enduro specific situations. I will say if I'm on a turn track, a moto track, an enduro cross track, a little bit higher speed, I mean, shoot, even if I was like a single track rider, I would probably go with the Rieju, just because I think it's so much more fun to ride. Whereas certain things on this, it just annoys me. There's little things where it's like, why did it feel like it was loaded there and it wasn't loaded here? It's like these little inconsistencies that I find with the TBIs that I just can't seem to get rid of. I think that I hold KTM to a slightly higher standard, and I think they have been the best for so long, and I'm afraid that they're kind of like, you know, I feel like it's kind of like Apple, if that's a good analogy. I feel like it's kind of like Apple. Like they haven't come out with anything that's really awesome lately. You know, it was so, everything was just, it was like TPI was awesome. TBI, I think that there's strides that they're making, but I'm afraid that it's kind of this plateau that's happening, and I'm almost rooting for the other brands. And you could call that bias, that's okay. I still, honestly, I love the Husky. I love the KTMs. I love the Gases. They're all good bikes. I really love the Rieju. I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's so much fun to ride. I think there's little things I could do to make it better in hard enduro specifically. And you know, we'll be testing. I'm gonna try the 36 Carb next. We put a power valve cover, a larger power valve cover on this from 5P Moto that made it smoother for sure. Smoothed out the power just a little more. I changed to a, what's that needle called? Ooh, man, NCEH. Oh man, I'll put it in the bottom here. NCEH, I don't know. Anyway, I changed the needle. That definitely leaned it out. It feels good. I don't know. I might want it to be a little richer just to maybe prevent it from lighting up that tire so much. Yeah, like I said, when I need to push or something, I almost have to hold just a little more power on the bike. than I would like to, and then I end up spinning the tire or I stall it. So there's that fine line. Maybe the 36 Carb will be the next thing that I test back to back and see what we can do to make this thing 100%. I love it. I think it's a great bike. There's more that I want to do to this. Everything I could make little adjustments to. Every bike's really great nowadays. That's the truth. And you know, I'm sure I'm rambling here. It's probably going to bother a bunch of you guys, but whatever, man. I'm stoked. I'm having fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. That was a lot of fun. That was a really fun test. I hope to do more of these. We've got some rad tests coming at you guys. Some bikes that I don't think you're going to expect. It's coming soon. I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for supporting the IRC channel. Thanks to IRC for supporting me and letting me continue to do what I love, making videos. Head to richlarson511.com for tour dates. I've got clinics all over the US this year. And again, thank you guys so much. Like, follow, comment, subscribe. And until next time, keep shredding.